Hey y'all, and welcome back to Aunt Mommy's house. I don't know how many videos it'll be before I get back to sharing a little bit of cooking with you guys, and I do want to share some recipes that was in my mom's cookbook, her recipe books, and some recipes that she wrote with her own hands. She did pass away June 24th, and she will be very, very missed. But today, in today's video, I just want to share a little bit of her testimony with you, and I hope it blesses your heart as it has mine. You know, grief is something that we all go through. Whether you've lost a loved one, a pet, like a few weeks ago, month, however long it's been, we lost a pet as well. My cousin passed away. My brother passed away almost a year ago in August. So grief is a part of everyone's life, and everyone goes through it differently, but kind of the same. So doing these videos, talking about my precious mom, is helping me with grief. And grief is a broad word for something that you can go through grief even if no one has passed away. You can grieve the loss of a job, or having to move away from friends, or the loss of a friendship, the loss of a relationship. And so when you have the grief, going through grief of a lost loved one, and another type of grief on top of that, sometimes it can seem overwhelming. One of the things that I feel like is going to help me is to talk about the good things. And there are so many good things, so many wonderful, wonderful things, especially about my mama. So anyway, let's get into the story, and I hope you enjoy it. There's some parts of my mom's story that I'd like to keep to myself with my family, but there are some parts I would like to share, and I know she would not mind me sharing these. But I think it was back in 2008, my mom had a widowmaker heart attack. Usually you don't survive, and we were told she would not survive that heart attack. But God had a plan for her life, and she survived. Fast forward to other things that's happened in her life. She's had a few health problems, but in the last year, we really noticed even more and more she was having trouble with memory loss, short-term memory, and it continually got worse. In March, my mom got hospitalized with, which she has battled and known for a while. She has COPD, and she had congestive heart failure. Those things landed her in the hospital in March, and they called the family in. She was on the ventilator. The doctor said, when we pull the ventilator, which she was ready to go when it was her time to go. And he said, when we pull her off the ventilator, she will decrease and she will pass away. We called all the family in. They started taking her off sedation. And she made it. She did not pass away. She got stronger, and it wasn't her time to go. After that, there were a series of things that happened that landed her back into the hospital. There she was diagnosed with dementia. She was in the hospital then 20 some odd days. I believe that was in May. And we could go see her, but we had a time limit that we could see her. One day I had went to see her You had about an hour time slot, but after about 30, 45 minutes, sometimes she was ready to go rest. So we were in this little room visiting, and this gentleman walked in and sat down. Well, the funny part of this story is he had a brown paper sack that had pajamas or a shirt or something kind of hanging over the sack that resembled a shirt my dad had. And my mom and I were sitting there talking, and she leaned over and she said, "Myra, your dad has a shirt just like that." And I knew kind of where this was going. She thought the man had my dad's shirt. So she asked him, she said, "Can I get that sack out of your way?" And he didn't realize, but she thought it was my daddy's shirt and she was needing it back. So I leaned over and I said, "No, Mom, that's his bag. That's his shirt. It looks just like Dad's, but it's not Daddy's." And so that satisfied her enough, and we were kind of talking a little more, and the gentleman spoke up and he looked at my mom and he said, "I just want to thank you for your words earlier. I was in a very, very dark place and you pointed me to God. And I just want to let you know that brought me out of the darkness and pointed me on the right path. And I want to thank you." He was talking to my mom. And she said, "Well, you're welcome, but it wasn't me, it was God. All glory to God." And the gentleman got up and went out, and I knew that my mom didn't remember the conversation. Her short-term memory was that severe that something would happen one minute and she wouldn't remember it the next. But in that moment, God used her in a special way to minister to a man in a very dark place. And in my eyes, I believe that was one reason why it wasn't her time in March. She still had a job to do. And God used her in a situation that was hard, but he needed one of his servants there to minister to a man that was in a very, very dark place. And so I believe that my mom still had a mission. And after that hospital stay, my mom came home. My dad took care of her. I think she was home maybe 20 days before she passed. All the days and times like that, I may be very blurry on, but God had a purpose and a plan for her life. And he has a purpose and a plan for yours as well. Don't give up hope. When you're going through really, really tough times, just know that God has a purpose in the pain. Keep trusting him. Keep trusting him. You may not understand now why you're going through what you're going through, but God has a purpose in it. He is so faithful. And I've had to think on these words a lot lately. He is so faithful. Even when you feel like your heart is broken, not just breaking, but it has been broken into a bazillion pieces, God is still faithful, and we can trust him. You may not understand the journey that you're on right now, but he'll reveal it to you, and he will make good come of a bad situation. If you trust in the Lord and you love the Lord with all your heart, he will make good come of a bad situation. There's one more thing I kind of want to share. This was one of my mom's favorite lotions, Jergens, the original scent. And I put some on my hands sometimes, and I just smell it. And it reminds me so much of her. She wasn't the perfect mom, but oh me, she was perfect for me. She was the best mom I could have ever asked for. She loved deeply. She loved without condition. And love never fails. That's the hope we have to hang on to. So, as I sniff the lotion that reminds me so much of my mom, I wanted to share all these things just to point you to God, point you to Him, and know that whatever journey you're on, keep trusting in the Lord, keep believing in Him. He is our only rock. He is our only hope. He is our only foundation. Nothing and no one else can do what He has done. And He is so faithful. Well, on the next video, I hope to make a recipe of my mom's. I don't know what it'll be, but I hope I can make it just at least half as good as her. So y'all join us on the next video, and God bless.